Ob beim Online-Shopping oder in sozialen Medien, wir hinterlassen unzählige digitale Fußabdrücke im Internet. Oft sind es unsere persönlichsten Daten, die wir in der virtuellen Welt teilen und damit zum potenziellen Ziel von Hackern machen. Was gibt es also Wichtigeres als die Sicherheit unserer Daten im Netz? Mit 5G wird das Thema Cybersecurity sogar noch einmal deutlich komplexer. Millionen Geräte werden miteinander verbunden. Ganze Produktions- und Logistikprozesse laufen auf Basis digitaler Vernetzung. Attraktive Ziele für Hacker und Cyberkriminelle. Um Netze und Anwendungen vor Cyberangriffen zu schützen, sind umfassende Sicherheitskonzepte und jede Menge Know-how nötig. Hans-Peter Bauer ist Europachef bei der Security- und Antivirusfirma McAfee. Er kennt die Gefahren, die von Hackern ausgehen. Die kennt auch Mallik Rao, Chief Technology und Information Officer bei Telefónica Deutschland und damit Herr über das O2-Netz und die Technologielandschaft des Unternehmens. Gemeinsam geben sie spannende Einblicke in die Welt von Cyberkriminellen und erläutern Maßnahmen, die Telekommunikationsanbieter, aber auch jeder Einzelne von uns treffen kann, um sich in der 5G- und IoT-Ära ausreichend zu schützen.
Hello, guten Tag. Today we are having a great guest with us on the podcast of Telefónica. The topic today we're talking is digital security and 5G. And I have one of the best experts in the industry, Hans-Peter from McAfee. Welcome, Hans-Peter.
Thank you, Mallik, for this warm introduction.
Just to set a stage, I would say for me personally, and also for Telefónica, when we are working in such a crucial industry and a critical infrastructure, I think few things which are very important. The customer data, customer privacy, then network security, and information security. These are basically a DNA for our company as well as for me personally, because I feel trust in digitization is based on digital security. As the 5G comes in, this new era offers a great opportunities for people, society, and of course drives a development for the industry 4.0. What in your view are the challenges, opportunities, which you look at the market now in the security domain?
I think 5G is an enabler for kind of new innovations. We see that especially as important for Germany, for example, or other countries with manufacturing background, because 5G allows a totally different way how things communicate with each other. It's not just humans who communicate, it's machine to machine. So the volume of communication, of data transfer, of data information in the network is totally different with 5G. And it allows basically a totally new generation of devices as well. We talk about 20 billion devices, and soon we have 25 billion devices, and there is no end.
What you mentioned about the importance of 5G along with the industry 4.0, IoT, these domains definitely have a very critical mass and critical importance. The Bitkom gives an estimate that Germany loses about 100 billion euros per year on the economy because of the cybersecurity incidents. How do you look at the volume and scale and the impact for the society and people?
Cybersecurity has a huge impact on the economy. So because more and more business goes into the net. And the numbers are pretty different. We talk about 5 billion loss worldwide on a global basis, and it's 500,000 new threats an hour. The profile of hackers is totally different than just a couple of years ago. Whilst it was in the past, it was the motivation for cyber attacks was ego. I was trying to hack the NASA homepage or the McAfee homepage. Now, 90% of all attacks and hacks are based on criminal motivation. The main background of attacks today is pure getting financial advantage.
Do you also see any specific industries which are targeted? Is it like information security, like let's say telecoms, which have a lot of customer data, or internet industries, banking, financial services? Which industry you feel more and more, say, from a cybersecurity perspective, vulnerable?
It really depends, Mallik, from, let's say, what is attractive and what is not. At the beginning, the most of the attacks were driven by, as I said, by financial advantages, by commercial things. So financial services industry. What we see now more and more, it goes into the healthcare industry in order to get data of people. It's like a fashion, right?
Okay.
Today, we see more healthcare. The next day, we see more manufacturing industry. And the other day, insurance companies as well as banks are under attack. And as we see, more and more business is in the net. So it becomes more and more interesting and attractive for the dark economy.
As we spoke about industry, IoT, infrastructure, from a consumer perspective, Telefónica provides close to 48 million customers connectivity and beyond connectivity services. And when I'm seeing it, specifically during the Corona times, right, the importance of secure connectivity is becoming more and more important. I mean, we do, of course, provide a secure service from a network perspective and also from a device perspective. But how do you really see a non-technology provider or non-technology user is secured? How do you get the feeling for the user that the security is provided for them?
The consumer is precisely the same impacted as the industry. Because if you look at the attacks we have, they go basically end to end. When we do our bank transaction, when we buy something at Amazon, eBay, we have to look end to end. If my refrigerator order milk, this is basically a business transaction because it goes from an endpoint, which is the refrigerator, to the network, which is hopefully your 5G network, to a data center where the data get processed. And basically, you have to weigh backwards as well. I think we have to make it easy. That's our responsibility, our challenge, our task, let's say, to create awareness, but also we have to make it easy to use for them. So that security is provided more or less everywhere. The consumer really need is to be aware. Because finally, it's his responsibility to be secure.
That's true. When we launch this service like O2 Protect, when you launch these kind of services, I think one is awareness, as you rightly mentioned. It's great that people are getting more and more aware. However, it's our responsibility to make these services much easier for a user to use it. You don't need a user manual for it. It's there by design. Let me come back into a little bit more technology or technical areas. As we've seen 2G to 5G, right? 3G, 4G, 5G, every technology, every new technology has been enhancing and definitely a lot of focus in terms of cybersecurity. With 5G, we're talking about special encryption for 5G enabled SIM cards. How do you look at from an endpoint as well as from a network perspective, specifically on 5G?
I think with 5G, the volume of devices, so the amount of devices, creates what we call a volume complexity, as well as a complexity of variety, because the devices will be so diverse. If you look back, we had almost one provider of one dominant operating system. That's gone with IoT. And a lot of these IoT devices will be connected. So security will be a hybrid solution between what you have on a device, what you have in the network, and even what you get out of a cloud. Because cloud will play an important role in 5G as well. Yeah. Because a lot of services which will provide it within the 5G world to an endpoint or to a device will be come out of the cloud. Mm-hmm. Think about a car. I think that autonomous driving in the future is only possible with 5G.
True. Yeah.
Because the devices, the amount of devices, the amount of information and data which has to flow forward and backward is only possible via 5G. And I think the coverage of 5G will be much better than any other coverage before 5G.
Yeah, that's true. I think cloud is also going to play a significantly disruptive and also significantly enabler role in terms of 5G. Now, we spoke about mobile networks. How do you see on the fixed networks? You have the Wi-Fi at home. How secured the Wi-Fi could be, because people do buy a router from the available internet or maybe from the shops. You bring a device, connect it. How secure do you think these networks are, which are unmanaged?
These unmanaged devices take a special effort to be secure. And as you said, unmanaged means so the user is responsible for the management of those devices. And again, it's our industry, in that case, more my industry, where we kind of create solutions in order to make it really easy and hands-on for the user to use it. If you look at the new routers, we work with a lot of manufacturers in the routing space or developers in the routing space to put security basically by development, so by design. So we go far more deeper in technology in a very early stage. In the past, cybersecurity was always the last thing you put on because it was not nice, it made things slower, so nobody really liked us that much, despite it was necessary. But now I think we reach a state where there is much more awareness about security of data, security of operations, security of network.
I think fortunately in the mobile industry or in telecom industry, security has always been prioritized for quite a long time. I think when I'm running this job as a CTIO for the last 12 years, from day one, I've seen the focus was there, focus is here, and focus is increasing because of the complexity. As we talk about the multitude of devices and also services across different accesses, unified, say, technology agnostic kind of service which we want to provide, when you go to the home, earlier it was one TV and possibly one or two computers or mobile phones. Today, you touch any broadband, you have hundreds of devices getting in. And there's so many people, like when you switch on your Wi-Fi at home, you have at least 10, 15, 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, which is available. So in these things, how do you think about managing those transactions and be still comfortable that you have the security at home?
If we come really more to security by design, so all these devices will have a certain piece of security on it. And I'm a strong believer in security as a service. For me, it would be much easier not to take care on my devices, but I get a service from you. And I think with 5G, with cloud, and with the new infrastructure, it's possible to provide security as a service instead of having, as you said, 20, 50 different devices where I have to take care of, right?
Yeah.
But as you ask for unmanaged devices, there is a lot of unmanaged network as well. Think about Bluetooth. There's a lot of security available for it, but I think especially with Bluetooth, there's a lot of unawareness of the risk. Just recently, I was in a manufacturing plant. There were tools connected by Bluetooth because of quality assurance.
Okay.
They were never thought to be connected to a public network. And this is an entry point for every hacker.
Yeah.
You can do almost nothing about it, except we go this path back where you provide security as a service out of the cloud. So we add much more security, advanced security to those kind of things. And if you think about security, I mean, we use a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning in our new products. We have to use newest technology as a tool and support in order to keep people safe. 5G opens a lot of new kind of opportunities up. Security is big data. And this data has to be analyzed, has to be correlated, has to be processed in order to make tangible results and feed it back to a consumer as well as to an organization.
So we covered basically the network side of it, industry, consumer. If I just switch towards the technology providers and not technology manufacturers, we've seen a lot of challenges in terms of global political discussions about the security and trustworthiness of individual companies. Specifically from China, people talk about a lot. US is also talking about banning some of the network suppliers. What is your view in terms of these dynamics which are being played? Let me give you a Telefónica perspective, right? We want to have a predictable guidelines from the governments or from the manufacturing industries, and people should stick to that standards, right? So a question for you would be, how do you see it? And second is it really verifiable that yes, we can be assured when you buy equipment from any source, can we certify and say, yeah, this is what we are assuring?
Cybercrime knows no borders, no political systems. No, it's just there. It's global and it's there. So, and that's the challenge we have in order to, let's say, live in a basically fragmented political world, and we fight against an enemy who is real global, because they don't know borders. But I see some very, very positive indications for the future, like the European standard. If you look at the data leakage standard, GDPR, so data privacy. So we see more and more standards which become accepted by different organizations, even political systems. So, and I think in the future, this will be even a commercial advantage if you provide the highest standard. But still, there will be political interests in it. And I think that's very difficult to manage from a technology point of view.
Yeah. Because for us, when I'm bringing the equipment from irrespective of the source of the country, we do test it. We do launch into the market unless we are very clear that there is a set of guidelines which are passed, then only you release it for commercial use. So you prefer a global standard instead of a European standard or American standard or Asian standards.
As you know, the hackers are everywhere. There's a lot of hackers in the US. There's even more hackers in South America. I mean, in Asia, there's a lot of hacking. Russia, name it. So I think hackers don't care about borders. I mean, they are in a certain geography. And even a hacker in Germany never would use a control server, command and control server in Germany. The command and control server is elsewhere. So this makes it kind of very, very difficult to talk about geography and political systems if you fight against a global enemy.
Good. Okay, one final question. What is important for you personally as an individual user and your expectations of 5G?
I expect from 5G a better life, honestly, because I'm always connected. And I like to be always connected. And I think technology is a kind of a helping hand for me. It's a tool. And 5G will enable that. I think about smart home, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Smart office. I like everything on time on my device. So I expect a better digital life with 5G because of better coverage, more data, better data, higher quality. That's what Excellent. I expect.
So we have a lot of work to do then.
Yeah, you have to.
Thank you, Hans-Peter. It was very interesting to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
For coming in.
Mallik, thank you very much.
Wahnsinn! Weltweit gibt es mehr als 500.000 Cyberangriffe pro Stunde und 90% aller Hackerangriffe sind kriminell motiviert. Cyberkriminalität ist ein globales Phänomen, das in einer zunehmend digitalisierten Welt immer präsenter wird. Cybersecurity stellt für Unternehmen also eine enorme Herausforderung dar. Unentdeckte und wenig kontrollierte Zugriffspunkte in Produktionsstätten machen es Cyberkriminellen laut Hans-Peter Bauer besonders leicht, großen Schaden anrichten zu können. Und nicht nur Unternehmen sollte der ausreichende Schutz von Daten am Herzen liegen. Wir alle sollten Security-Programme wie O2 Protect und sichere Ende-zu-Ende-Verschlüsselung nutzen, damit die Banktransaktion für unsere Einkäufe oder die Online-Kommunikation abgesichert vonstatten gehen kann. Damit ihr keine Folge mehr verpasst, abonniert den Mein 5G Podcast in eurer Lieblings-Podcast-App. Ihr findet alle Folgen auch auf der 5G-Netzinfo-Seite von Telefónica Deutschland unter www.telefonica.de/5G.